Oh yeah, guys, we're back. We're back for another episode of this series on the physician as an entrepreneur. We're talking about how do we help doctors to get that spark back that they had when they first went to medical school, when they first started their career. How do we get them in the midst of all the things that are going on in the medical space to know that they don't have to be despondent, they don't have to live life in this kind of drudgery that they may find, that they can practice medicine on their own terms. We are basing our discussion on a book by Dr. Una, and it's called the Entre Md Method. Let me see. I'm going to change my screen here so you guys can, so I can hold it up. There you go. That's the Entre Md Method. And that's what we're basing our discussion on. If you've not already done so, go back and take a look at the first 2 episodes. As a matter of fact, go back and find the unboxing that I did when I first got the book. I was so excited I started reading it right away. And then we've done a couple of episodes so far. I'll put the link up above. The first one was a roadmap, right? So where are we in the space in medicine? What's going on right now? The next one, or the one right before this, was the episode where we talked about a mindset, right? Changing the mindset. And in this episode, we're talking about behavior. What do we need to do? How do we change? And guys, I'm going to tell you, honestly, this section could have been a book on its own. In fact, I think, we're going to come back and we're going to do some shows and where we get to break down the things that she discusses in this section in some more finer detail, right? But it has been amazing. Let's go ahead and let's get started and let's jump right in. And the title of this section is called Re-engineering Your Actions, right? That's what it's called. And we'll give some other name or something to it. But basically, there are a couple of things that we're going to go through. Let's go ahead and get started with that. And the first one is to understand that your success is based on habits. In the book, she talks about a quote by, I believe it's John Maxwell. And he says, if I come into your space, wherever you are, and I spend 24 hours with you, I can probably tell how successful you're going to be or whether you're going to be successful. Because based on our habits, that's where we go. That's where our life goes. Have you ever gotten in your car and you're driving to work and you leave your house and you show up at work and you think, how did they get here? How did you get there? Well, your body was programmed to get there. And so there are so many distractions that were on the road that you didn't even realize, right? And you were on autopilot. And so as we are working into getting into this entrepreneurial space, one of the things that we've got to do is we've got to develop good habits. And one of the things I do with my clients when we're doing coaching is we kind of talk about this idea of the areas of our life being a wheel, and that wheel is taking us on our journey. And in this space, as we're talking about how do we become successful, how do we remain successful, one of the most important things is to have this wheel of our life running smoothly, right? So, and a lot of people have different ways of coming up with their wheel. We can talk about the physical aspect or our health. We can talk our family and relationships. We can talk about business. We can talk about our entrepreneurial activities, right? So all of those components will make up the wheel of our life. And as that wheel remains smooth or relatively smooth, right? Because it can never be perfect. But as we work on that wheel to get that wheel to conform and to become the thing that's driving us, we become successful. And so in the book, she talks about habits. Habits are so important. When you were in medical school, when you were in residency, and even now as you're practicing, remember, one of the things that we learned, right, was how to do procedures. And when we're doing procedures, there's a certain way that we were taught to do procedures. Why were we taught to do procedures that way? Because we were developing habits. We were developing muscle memory. Our colleagues in the surgical space will tell you that they practice and they read and they envision and they imagine, right? And they visualize. And why are they doing all those things? Is because they're trying to set themselves up for success. And when we talk about our success in life in general, and particularly as we kind of move or pivot, if you will, into this space, habits are going to become so important to us. And Dr. Una goes through and she talks about the habits that she uses. And the big thing here, guys and gals, is that there are some things that are going to be fundamental. You're going to need something that's going to center you, right? You're going to need something that's going to center you, that's going to help you as you are moving into this new space, as you are getting energy, as you are expanding your mind, as you're expanding your skills, expanding your thought process. What is going to be the thing that's going to help you? And a lot of people have that in different ways. Some people do spiritual beliefs, they do yoga, they do meditation. Whatever your thing is, it needs to be something that is a part of your daily routine. What gets you today centered in your space? What gets you fully committed? What gets you fully focused? What gets you to the point where your energies and your creativity can be spurred, right? So that's one thing that she talks about as she goes through the book. And she gives a list of 6 different areas. I'm going to just read them out for you. All the areas that she talks about, right? So prayer, meditation, exercise, right? Listening to podcasts, reading. All right. And we can go through each of those and talk about how beneficial they are as we are developing this routine. Because let me give you my personal example. So in my space, in my life, I have learned that if I don't take the time to focus and to put some structure, that things kind of go crazy. One of the one of the things that I do is at the end of the day, before I leave the office or drive off from my office, is I go and I sit in my car and I do what's called a brain dump. Yeah. And so my brain dump, there are certain questions that I ask, what decisions did you make today? What decisions are still on your mind? Who are you thinking about? What were some successes that you had today? Right. And so I'm going through these things and basically I'm taking all that information and I'm dumping it into I use a device. You can use a journal or whatever you want to do is write it down. But basically I'm taking that out of that space and I'm putting it into my device so that I don't have all that now cluttering in my head. And so as I'm driving home, I am getting right to the point where, okay, yeah. So now I'm moving out of the daily rut, daily routine, and I'm moving into my evening. Okay, we'll talk a little bit more about what you can do in the car in a minute, but that's the idea, right? So I have this routine that I do. I get up in the morning and I've got my plan for success. It's a journal that my wife came up with. And so I use that and I go through and I answer those questions because that is helping me get ready, get focused for the day, right? As part of that, I have a devotion. And in my devotion, I spend time, right, so that I can get focused, so that this is my renewal as I get into my day. Okay. Exercise, so important. I recently started a new challenge with some guys on Facebook. Okay. It's a 365-day challenge, right? In terms of health, because if you're not healthy, all the other things become in jeopardy. Right. So we want to make sure that you're healthy, make sure that you're taking care of your health, that you are putting the time in that you need to make sure that this asset is in good shape. So habits are so important, right? Don't reinvent the wheel, she says, right? There are people out there who've developed routines for their day, right? Find one of those, use it, tweak it, get it better, adapt it to yourself, but you don't have to go and start from scratch, right? If you don't have any time, let me talk about this one. There are 1,440 minutes in a day. 1,440. And most of us, aside from sleeping, give all the rest of that time away to somebody else. And this is an opportunity for you to take some time for yourself so that you can begin, right, generating those thoughts, that creativity. Because if you're so busy doing other things and you're not taking care of yourself, then you don't have energy. You don't have energy to put into this entrepreneurial space that we're going. Okay. So the summary of that. So, wait, before I go on, right? Don't underestimate the effect of small changes over time. There's a book called The Compound Effect that I love, right? And I recommend it to my clients. Small changes over, it's kind of like investment, right? If we had started when we were very young, when we were 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or even in our teens, right? Saving a little money consistently over time, a lot of us would be much farther along in terms of finances, in terms of retirement than we are now, right? That's the power of the compounded effect. And that works also in this space, right? So little things that you do over time add up. And after a while, you begin to say, oh my goodness, now here's a change in this area. Here's a change in that area. Here's a change. I'm better in this area. How did that happen? That happened because you were consistent, that you had a routine that you did over time. So remember to do that. Don't forget that. And so how do you energize yourself, right? How do you energize yourself? You got to find those things in your daily routine that are going to do that for you. Okay. And start now. I keep looking down because I'm looking at my notes, guys. Yeah, I took lots of notes here. Right. So don't delay. Start now, right? There are a lot of people who last year had some things that they wanted to do, and they're looking back now at this time and saying, oh my goodness, a year ago I wanted to do that, but I haven't done it yet. Don't let that happen next year, right? Because the time is going. It's running out. Right? When I say running out, it is moving, right? If you do something or not, time is going by. So why not start now? Whatever it is, right? Begin developing a routine. And in the book, I'm gonna plug the book, right? Get the book. In the book, there are things that she talks about. She has a routine in here. You can go online, you can Google. There's so many places where you can get routines that you can then implement, and you can begin tweaking it. Okay? So start right now. The other thing is, you got to get comfortable being uncomfortable. Now, I'll tell you, I'm an endocrinologist, right? And I love being in the endocrine space. You know why? Because I'm good at that. That's what I do all day, every day. You wake me up in the middle of the night and ask me an endocrine question, right? Boom, 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 boom. I'm spouting it out because I'm comfortable in that space. And we are comfortable in our area. We went to school. We did medical school. We did residency. For those of you who did fellowship and then sub-fellowship, and you've been out practicing, and you can wake up in your sleep and you can talk about your thing, right? You can do your procedure for our surgeons and those who are doing procedures, our GI docs, right? So you can do your thing and you can talk about your area perfectly. But we need to expand that. If we're going to be successful in the entrepreneurial space, we have to stretch ourselves outside of our comfort zone. So we've got to be able to redefine comfort. We have to be able to redefine comfort so that, let me give you an example. Do you know that the feelings that you get when you feel excited, right? The heart rate going up, right? Sometimes you get the butterfly in your stomach, right? The maybe some sweating, right? All of those things, the hormones that are flowing. Do you know that the feelings and the symptoms that you get from that are almost the same as the symptoms that you get from fear and the physiologic changes that we see? That's right. So sometimes the excitement that we feel about when we have a thought, it looks like fear. It seems like fear. There's a movie, what is it? Wanted. Do you remember Wanted? That's Angelina Jolie and Morgan Freeman and what's the guy that played it? I'm thinking about it now. But anyway, so there's this kid basically, and he's contacted by this organization. I guess his father used to be part of it, and all of his life he has had these feelings of anxiety. And whenever he has these feelings of anxiety, he always takes a pill. He pops a pill, right? Something's going on in his life, and he pops a pill, and he calms down. And so this organization contacts him, and they're now going to teach him that feeling that he gets is really not a feeling of fear or anxiety. It's his body preparing him, right, for these powers, these special skills that he has, right? Okay? And so if you watch the movie, spoiler right here. If you watch the movie, they hand him a gun and they say, hey, I want you to shoot the wings off of this fly. And he's like, I can't do that, right? And his heart rate is going up and he's starting to sweat, and right? And he wants to take the pills and he wants to pop them. And they prevent him from popping them, taking the pills. And you know what happens? Yeah, bow, 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 right? So the wings are gone because he was able to focus, because he was able to feel what he was feeling. The body preparing him for whatever it was. And so we've got to be able to become comfortable with the feelings that take us outside of our space. Whatever your area is, we got to get comfortable doing that. If we're going to be successful as entrepreneurs, right? So we got to be comfortable being uncomfortable, right? We've got to be consistent in the actions that we take outside of our space. So one of the things that happens a lot is we go out and we get that feeling, we run back in. And we're like, okay, I'm not doing that again. Okay. But here's the thing. You gave a speech. You tried an idea. You pitched something to someone. You pitched an idea, a product. You pitched a thought. You did something that was not within your space. And that's right. You're here. You're listening to me, right? So you are alive. You didn't die. And that's the beauty of this, right? We try something, and if we're consistent at it, then we get benefit. Remember that compound effect. But if we run back into our space and say, okay, I'm not doing that again, then it becomes this thing, right? A year tomorrow or next year that we are there and we do not get success, right? We don't get success. Let's see what else. One of the things that we've got to do in terms of outside of ourselves, talking to strangers. Now, as physicians, right, we do that. We talk to people all the time, but we talk to people in our space. And so what we want to do is begin talking to people that are not in our space, in our areas of interest. There are, I can't begin to tell you the number of things that are currently in your brain, that are currently in your mind, in your thoughts. As a matter of fact, I can't even tell you the number of things that you've forgotten that you thought about because you didn't talk to other people, that you didn't share them because you were afraid, right, to get them out there. But you got to get them out there. In one of my other podcasts, I talked about this idea of finding your tribe, and we're going to come back to that in a minute, but let me give a little plug here. There are people out there that don't know you. Whoa, what? Yeah, there are people out there that don't know you. They don't know how good you are. They don't know how good you are outside of your space, outside of your area of comfort. And if they're going to know, you got to tell them. You got to tell them about that great idea, that great product, that great service, that great whatever it is. They have that book that's in you that you got to write. But they don't know because it's in here, right? We're keeping it, right? One of the guys I listen to, Kirk Nugent, check him out, by the way. He says being the best kept secret is not a compliment. Yeah, that's not a compliment at all, right? Oh yeah, I'm really good, but nobody knows, right? Bring them to you. Let them know, here I am. And now this is not being arrogant, right? But this is being sure, right? And you've got to believe. You have got to believe in the idea, in the product. Here's another thing. If you don't have a product, you've got to believe in you. You got to believe in yourself. Think of the investment. And this is a good place to, I mean, there's so much here. I keep going on and on, but this is a good place to jump over to the other side, right? You are worth it. You are worth it. You are worth the time. You are worth having the ability to practice on your own terms. You're worth having the ability to be financially free. You're worth having the ability to have that idea that you have, that concept that you have, that whatever it is that's in you, you're worth having that come out. And regardless of what anybody tells you, you are the asset. Let me say that again. All the systems, all the things that are around us have convinced us that they are more important in the system than we are. They are not. You are the asset. You are the brand. And if you are the brand, if you are the asset, then you are valuable. In the back of our house, we just had a sunroom built, okay? And so we had to get the architect to come out, and they mocked it up, and then we had to get the HOA. By the way, it's a whole nother story. Had to get them to approve it, right? So we put this stuff in the back of the house. So the value of the house has increased because we improved the house. Where are you spending your time and your energies and your resources? Are you improving the asset, yourself? Or are you improving the things around you? There's nothing wrong, right, with being a team player. There's nothing wrong with growing the organization. There's nothing wrong with growing the system around you. But are you investing in you? Are you taking the time that's required to increase your skills? Particularly, once again, in the areas of your interest. And I'm not talking about your medical background, right? We all know that. We do what we do. Right? So if I ask one of the ortho guys, he says, yeah, I like doing what I do. If I ask the GI guy, I like doing what I do. The cardiologist, the neurologist, the nephrologist, right? The family medicine doc, the internist, the pediatrician, the psychiatrist, everyone's going to say, man, this is the thing, I like doing this. Well, at least most of us are going to say that. But there are other parts of us. Other parts of us that are beneficial to other people if we let them know about it, and other parts of us that can, frankly, be financially lucrative. We are not only physicians. Lots of other things to us. Okay. So remember, you are the asset. So how do we improve ourselves? How do we invest in this asset that we have? One, we've got to start getting information. Your vision, your imagination can only go as far, right? And be as broad as the information you put into it. So begin putting information into it. Yeah, she talks about it in the book, and I'm coming back, Dr. Woode. I know I got off there, right? But coming back to the book, right? She talks about the fact that you can use your car. Automobile University is what she says, right? Begin listening to things, right? Begin feeding your mind. Begin feeding your brain. Find authors. Find people that are in the space that you're interested in, and go find them, go talk to them, read about them, listen to them, right? Begin feeding the mind, And people say that, well, I don't have time, because my commute is short. Well, do something else on the commute. And when you get home, when you're walking down on the treadmill, when you're walking around the house, when you're doing something else, listen, right? But find some place where you can begin, right, investing, pouring into yourself with information. Leaders, she says, are readers. So as I'm encouraging you to listen, do not negate reading books, right? So I got some books you can probably see. Well, I don't know if you can see them. They're probably blurry. I got some books back there. Okay. So pick up the book, right? So it allows you to get focused. Now, I've said that if I knew when I was coming along, if I had discovered audiobooks, I'd have been much smarter than I am now, right? And I've discovered audiobooks and I listen to them. I've got stuff going on. I've got podcasts that I listen to. I've got YouTube things that I listen to, but I also have some books, right? Because I'm going to show you here. I don't know if you guys can see. Let me change my thing, right? So you can see, right? Look at that. So I've got notes written all in there. All right. So Dr. Woode, I've been scouring your book, right? So anyway, so I got notes and everything. So I love that. I love being able to touch it and feel it, and I can underline, right? So don't negate reading. Right? Let's see. Shortcuts. People say there are no shortcuts. Dr. Woode says, no, that's not true. There are shortcuts. Other people have done what we're trying to do. Other people have been wildly successful at what we're trying to do. We don't have to invent the wheel, right? Let's find somebody. Let's find someone in our space that's done it before. That, frankly, is what medicine was all about, right? So we got some people who went before us. They trained us. We trained the guys below us and gals. And they trained somebody else. Right. And I can tell you the succession in my residency, right? My senior resident, right? And then I was the senior, and then I had my intern, and that intern became the senior. And in fact, my intern and I were co-seniors, right, at one time, right? And I was so excited that I had trained him well, right? Because I was the senior, right? And so yeah. So find somebody, right? There are programs out there. There are coaching programs. There are courses that you could take. You don't have to do it by yourself. You don't have to do it alone, and you don't have to start from scratch. Right? So do that. There are communities. Okay, this is where I was going to talk about the community. When you find your tribe, let's talk about that for a minute. When you find your tribe, the people you connect with, the people who are in the space that you want to get into, the people who have the ideas that you want to get into, oh my gosh, it is like, whew, right? Mind blowing. But you got to get out there. I went to a networking event. Okay, I went to a networking event this past week here in town. And I was amazed at the number of people. I was amazed at the people that I met just walking around who spoke into me, that gave me ideas. And this wasn't this was not an official, meet and greet. We were just milling around while we got ready for the program to start. Right? I picked up, I don't know how many business cards that we're sharing out. Right? I met a couple who were new to town. And I said, hey, I'm an endocrinologist. And the wife, she took my card and she called her and she's like, hey, come here. He's an endocrinologist. And you know what, the guy, I didn't know him. He gave me a big bear hug. I said, okay, you can't kiss me. Right? Because he says, I've been looking for someone, right? Not that there aren't other endocrinologists in town. They're new to town. But here I was. I met somebody. I mean, that's amazing. Okay. I met another guy that we're going to be doing some things together, hopefully. Networking, right? Go meet people, mill around, go just get out, right? And I know, sometimes we go and we sit in the physician's lounge and we talk to each other. That's good. I like that. But find some other spaces. Other spaces where you can go. Okay. Let's see. So forging relationships. Yes. So that's the other thing. So relationships. Now I'll tell you, frankly, I am learning and getting better at this. You've heard the phrase or the saying that you are as the 5 people that are around you, or 5 friends, or 5 closest people. Well, surround yourself with people who are doing the things you want to do. If you want to make $1 million, surround yourself with people who are making $1 million. If you want to be a multimillionaire, surround yourself with people who are multimillionaires. Right? Get connected with them. Begin collaborating with them. Right? Begin talking with them. When I went to this event, the president got up and she was introducing the program, and afterwards, I walked up and said, hey, I'm Dr. Woode. I said, thank you for doing this. I mean, this is amazing. And you know what happened? She said, oh, you're an endocrinologist. He said, let me take you to meet. Notice what just happened. I didn't even know her. And she took me, as a matter of fact, we spent several minutes together, and she took me to different places to introduce me to people that she knew that I would not have known had that not happened. Amazing. So I'm continuing to be excited about this book. The next section that we're getting into the meat now, right? Right? So we've talked about the mindset. We've talked about where we are in the industry. We've talked about behaviors now. And the next time we're going to talk about, okay, the nitty gritty. What do we do? Come on, Dr. Woode. You've been telling us all this stuff. You're getting us excited. What are we going to do? That's what we want to know. Right? What are we going to do next? Okay. So that's going to be the next episode. We're talking about it. Right? We're getting there. Right? And here's my call for you. If you know a physician, I'm going to do 2 things. If you know a physician, if you're watching this and you know a physician, tell them to watch this podcast or this YouTube show, whatever you call it, right? Watch this one. Watch the one before this. Watch the one before that. Watch the unboxing. Get excited about it. Go out and get the book. Go out and get the book. Because I want you to be successful. That's what we do here. We educate, we empower, we encourage you to take charge of your health and your life. That's why I added that there. Health and life. So you can live that fulfilling life you want. Go to the next level. If you want to be able to spend some time talking with me, right? Go to our website, DwainWoodMD.com. DwainWoodMD.com. Because I would love to help you along this journey, wherever you are. Love it. Dr. Una, I got to say thank you, right? Now, and I'm going to say this to Dr. Una as I'm talking to the camera. I don't know if you realize, Dr. Una, that although we're talking about the Entre MD, the stuff that you're teaching in this book can be used by anybody. The concepts that you're doing, yeah, you can just call it Entre something, right? Right? My colleagues, I'm excited for where we are. We don't have to leave the medical space. We can be excited in the medical space, but we can do things outside of the space. That's what we want. Practice medicine on your own terms. Get excited about it again. And I remember I was on call as the senior night float in Dayton, leaving the VA. And it was like my last call, the end of the month. I think that was the last time I was going to be on call like that. Every day I would come in at night, right? And everybody would be heading out. And it's me. And those patients would roll in, right? Like they knew when I was on call. Like, Dr. Woode is on call this month. Let's go. Right? And we would see them in the ER, right? We'd bring them in, admit them, you did the orders. And what was that the system called? I don't even remember what the computer system was called. But anyway, you guys have used the VA thing, right? And we'd present them in the morning, right? Pretend, hey, this is what happened. This guy chest pain, this guy GI bleed, whatever it was. And I remember driving away after rounds the next morning, right? After morning rounds on that last day. And it seemed like the sun was brighter that morning. The birds were chirping a lot louder. I almost expected to see some gold on the ground, right? Right? Because I was excited because I had made it through night float at the VA by myself. The excitement that we get when we achieve something, the feeling of just, I don't say euphoria, but sometimes euphoria. That's amazing. So that thing that's in you, it's waiting to come out. It wants to come out. It's there. Don't keep it hidden. Just, let's get it out. This is Dr. Dwain Woode. I'm so excited that you took the time to listen to this, watch this video. Make sure you go back and watch the others. Remember the book, right? And if you want to work with us, DwainWoodeMD.com. DwainWoodeMD.com. We educate, we empower, and we encourage you to take charge of your health and your life. Live that fulfilling life that you want and go to the next level. We'll see you at the next video.